Today's video is a detailed review and analysis of the movie Big Momma's House 2, starring Martin Lawrence. This is not a full movie, and not a movie screening. In this video, we will break down the complete story of the film, and explain how the plot develops from start to end. We will talk about the main cast and supporting cast, their roles, and their performances. We will also cover the movie's production, development process, and the creative choices behind it. You will learn where the story was inspired from, who wrote it, and what the original idea and purpose were. Along with the creative side, we will analyze the movie's budget, box office performance, and overall business results. Every important element of the film is explained and reviewed from a viewer's perspective. So, let's begin and take a closer look at Big Momma's House 2. 6 years have passed since Malcolm Turner first stepped into the oversized disguise that changed his career and personal life forever. Life looks different now. The chaos of undercover missions has been replaced by the quiet rhythm of family responsibility. Malcolm is married to Sherry Pierce, the very woman he once protected during an investigation. Their relationship has grown into something stable and serious, and Malcolm has stepped into the role of a husband and stepfather to Trent. More importantly, Sherry is pregnant, and the idea of becoming a father again has reshaped Malcolm's priorities. Instead of chasing criminals across cities, Malcolm now works a desk job at the FBI. The field assignments, the adrenaline, the disguises, all of that has been set aside, at least for now. He tells himself that this is what maturity looks like. Stability, presence, responsibility. But beneath that calm exterior, there is still a part of him that misses the action. The part that feels alive when a case is unfolding. That inner conflict doesn't stay buried for long. News arrives that hits Malcolm harder than he expects. His close friend and fellow agent, Doug Hudson, has been killed while working undercover in Orange County, California. Doug wasn't just another colleague. He was someone Malcolm trusted, someone who understood the pressure of undercover work and the sacrifices it demanded. The loss feels personal. The official report says Doug was investigating a former military intelligence specialist named Tom Fuller. Fuller now works at a technology corporation called National Agenda Software. On the surface, the company appears legitimate: clean offices, polished executives, government contracts. But Doug had uncovered something dangerous before his death. Tom Fuller was allegedly developing a sophisticated computer worm, a piece of malicious code designed to secretly access government databases through a hidden backdoor. If true, the implications are enormous. Classified files, national security data, sensitive operations, all vulnerable. Malcolm immediately asks to be placed on the case. It isn't just professional curiosity, it's loyalty. He wants answers. He wants justice for Doug. But his request is denied. The investigation is already being handled by agents Liliana Morales and Kevin Keneally. Malcolm is told to stay out of it and focus on his current responsibilities. For a man trying to prove he can live a stable life, this should be simple. Follow orders, stay home, protect your family. But Malcolm Turner has never been wired that way. When he learns that the FBI plans to send an undercover operative into the Fuller household, posing as a nanny, something clicks. Access to the house means access to Tom. Access means answers. And there is only one disguise Malcolm trusts enough to get that close, without suspicion. Big Momma. The persona that once helped him crack a case and win Sherry's heart. Loud, unfiltered, larger than life in every possible way. It's a disguise that draws attention, yet somehow avoids suspicion. Malcolm makes a decision that once again blurs the line between duty and deception. He tells Sherry he has to attend an out-of-state conference for work. It's a lie he convinces himself is temporary. Just a few days. Just enough to look around. Just enough to understand what Doug died investigating. He retrieves the Big Momma suit, the padding, the wig, the wardrobe. As he prepares to step back into character, there's a visible hesitation. This disguise once brought him success, but it also brought chaos. Still, he proceeds. The transformation is both physical and psychological. Malcolm disappears. Big Momma returns. At the Fuller residence, multiple candidates are being interviewed for the nanny position. Each one polished, professional, qualified. Then Big Momma enters the room. Within minutes, she disrupts the formal atmosphere. She points out safety flaws in the house, questions Leah's household systems, exposes weaknesses in the other candidates' answers. What appears chaotic is actually strategic. By the end of the interview process, Big Momma stands out, not as the most conventional choice, but as the most unforgettable. And unforgettable wins. She secures the job. Now inside the Fuller home, Malcolm begins observing the family closely. Tom Fuller appears tense and distracted, often retreating to his workspace. Leah Fuller maintains a strict household structure, expecting perfection from her children and staff. The family dynamic is controlled but fragile. Molly, the eldest daughter, is struggling socially. She wants to fit in with a crowd that doesn't reflect who she truly is. Carrie, the middle daughter, lacks confidence but dreams of success on her cheerleading team. And young Andrew's reckless habit of jumping from high surfaces becomes both a comedic distraction and a symbol of uncontrolled energy within the household. As Big Mama integrates herself into daily life, Malcolm watches Tom carefully. Late-night computer sessions, private phone calls, encrypted files. The deeper Malcolm looks, the more convinced he becomes that something serious is unfolding behind closed doors. But balancing investigation with domestic chaos proves harder than expected. Because undercover work inside a suburban family doesn't follow FBI protocol, it follows family rules. And breaking those rules might cost him the mission. As days pass inside the Fuller household, Malcolm begins to understand that this assignment is far more complicated than he initially imagined. From the outside, the family appears structured, disciplined, and upper-middle-class perfect. But beneath the surface, tension runs quietly through every room. Tom Fuller leaves early each morning for national agenda software, carrying the kind of silent pressure that doesn't come from ordinary office work. His movements are cautious. His phone conversations are brief and coded. Even at home, he behaves like someone constantly aware of being watched. Malcolm notices this immediately. It's not the behavior of a confident criminal mastermind, it's the behavior of someone trapped. Leah Fuller, meanwhile, runs the house with almost military precision. Chores are scheduled. Rules are strict. Expectations are high. She expects Big Mama to maintain order, supervise homework, cook properly, and keep the children disciplined. At first, Malcolm underestimates her, but it doesn't take long for him to realize Leah is observant. She notices mistakes. She questions inconsistencies. One wrong move could cost him his cover. Molly becomes the first real emotional complication. The teenage daughter is clearly searching for identity. She tries to adopt a personality that feels borrowed. Different clothes, forced attitude, fake confidence. Malcolm, watching through Big Mama's eyes, sees something familiar. He understands what it feels like to hide behind something that isn't truly you. But unlike him, Molly doesn't have training. She's just insecure. Carrie presents a different challenge. She wants to succeed as a cheerleader, but self-doubt constantly holds her back. During practice sessions at home, she misses steps, hesitates, looks toward Leah for approval that never quite comes. Malcolm starts stepping in subtly, offering encouragement in Big Mama's loud but oddly supportive tone. It's the first moment where the mission starts blending with genuine care. And then there's Andrew. The toddler's fearless habit of climbing onto furniture and leaping off creates chaos almost daily. Malcolm spends more time catching him mid-air than actually spying on Tom. What begins as slapstick comedy gradually turns into a reminder. Undercover work inside a family means becoming part of that family's rhythm. But Malcolm doesn't forget why he's there. Late one night, while the house sleeps, he sneaks into Tom's office. Accessing the computer proves difficult. Layers, password protection, advanced security software. This isn't amateur-level coding. Whoever is building this worm knows exactly what they're doing. Malcolm manages to copy fragments of files onto a portable device. The code structure confirms it. This is designed for backdoor entry into government databases. Clean, silent, undetectable. But something feels off. The timestamp suggests urgency, not ambition. The work appears rushed. The next morning, Agent Kevin Kenneally contacts Malcolm discreetly. Kevin's role on the case remains secondary, but he's eager to prove himself. Their dynamic is awkward, yet functional. Kevin brings technical updates from Agent Morales, who continues monitoring external communications linked to national agenda. Morales remains skeptical about Malcolm's involvement. She knows his history, brilliant but reckless. However, she also understands his instincts are rarely wrong. Complications escalate when Sherry begins asking questions. A phone call comes at the wrong time. Malcolm, still in the Big Mama voice, barely avoids exposure. Sherry senses distance. Something in his tone feels rehearsed. Suspicion begins to grow. The lie about the conference becomes harder to maintain. Meanwhile, tension inside the Fuller home intensifies. Leah criticizes Big Mama's housekeeping methods. Laundry isn't folded correctly. Dinner isn't prepared on schedule. Small details, but dangerous ones. One evening, Leah threatens to fire her outright if performance doesn't improve. For Malcolm, losing this position would mean losing access to Tom, and losing any chance of understanding what really happened to Doug. So he commits fully. That night, after everyone sleeps, Big Momma scrubs floors, reorganizes closets, prepares meals for the next day, and resets the entire household system. By morning, the house runs flawlessly. Leah is impressed. Suspicion lowers. Malcolm's cover is safe for now. But the investigation takes a sharper turn when evidence surfaces linking Tom to a known cybercriminal, operating under an alias. The hacker has a reputation for selling vulnerabilities to the highest bidder. If Tom is working with him willingly, this case becomes far more serious. An operation is planned to intercept the hacker during a scheduled digital exchange. Malcolm and Kevin prepare for a field move. The moment carries tension Malcolm hasn't felt in years. The adrenaline returns. Surveillance vans, tracking software, wireless headsets. But the operation fails. The hacker escapes, leaving behind encrypted fragments that point directly back to national agenda. Someone tipped him off. The failure frustrates Malcolm deeply. It also confirms that the situation is bigger than they assumed. This isn't just a rogue programmer inside a tech company. There are layers of protection surrounding this operation, and Tom Fuller is at the center of it. Back at the house, Malcolm studies Tom's behavior even more closely. He notices something new. Fear. Subtle but unmistakable. Tom checks security cameras frequently. He locks his office door twice. His conversations become shorter. This doesn't look like a man planning betrayal. It looks like a man being controlled. The emotional stakes begin shifting. Malcolm starts questioning whether Tom is the villain, or another pawn. Then everything becomes personal again. Sherry arrives unexpectedly in Orange County, after discovering something that confirms her suspicion: oversized clothing hidden under their bed. The realization hits her hard. Malcolm didn't go to a conference. He went undercover. Again. When she confronts him and sees Big Momma standing in front of her, the disappointment is sharper than anger. She feels betrayed, not because he's on a case, but because he chose deception over trust. Their argument cracks Malcolm's emotional armor. For the first time since starting this mission, he feels the weight of risking his family's stability for a case that wasn't even assigned to him. But before he can fix that damage, another complication emerges. Agent Morales discovers his interference officially. Instead of pulling him off the operation, she delivers strict conditions. He can stay, but only if he follows orders and works alongside Kevin without deviation. No solo heroics. No unauthorized risks. Malcolm agrees. But inside, he knows this case is moving toward something explosive, and he is already too deep inside the Fuller family to walk away. Inside the house, the Fuller family stirred. Leah Fuller, the matriarch, barked orders with an exacting tone, demanding chores be completed before breakfast. Her voice carried a sharpness that was almost musical in its rhythm, each syllable a drill that kept the household in line. Molly, the eldest daughter, had already pulled herself away from her mirror, fussing with her outfit and makeup, attempting to sculpt an identity she felt the world would admire. Carrie, younger and more tentative, paced nervously, practicing cheerleading moves in the living room, her small jumps followed by careful landings on the polished wooden floor. Little Andrew, oblivious to the tension around him, was climbing a bookshelf with fearless determination, a mischievous grin plastered across his face. Malcolm observed all of this from the kitchen doorway, notebook in hand. The transformation from FBI agent to Big Momma wasn't just about appearance. It was about understanding the family dynamics, predicting their movements, and managing a household as if it were a live crime scene. Every detail mattered. He catalogued Leah's routines, noting the exact time she checked the pantry, the way she tilted her head when suspicious, and the subtle glances she shot when someone tried to skirt responsibilities. The phone rang, piercing through the morning symphony of mundane sounds. Malcolm grabbed it, still crouched behind the countertop. The voice on the other end was hurried, nearly trembling, the words clipped. It was Agent Morales. "Malcolm," she began, "we've traced Fuller's communications. He's already coordinating with Agenda's operatives. The worm's deployment could be imminent. You need to be ready now." Malcolm's brow furrowed, the lines of stress sharpened by the invisible weight of responsibility. "Understood," he replied. "I'm on it. Big Momma's got this." He hung up, straightening the wig, letting the apron sway as he moved. Today, the stakes were higher than they had ever been. Doug Hudson's death was just the opening salvo. The true threat was Fuller's plan to manipulate databases, leaving the government exposed to infiltration, all while his family remained collateral. As breakfast simmered on the stove, Malcolm's eyes scanned the room. Molly had now seated herself at the kitchen table, barely hiding her phone under the placemat, sending frantic texts to friends. Carrie spun in place, a perfect pirouette, her cheeks flushed from exertion, while Andrew attempted a daring jump from the countertop to the dining chairs, narrowly missing the cereal bowl. Malcolm intervened with a gentle but firm hand, guiding Andrew down, his voice a soothing rumble. Now, little man, we don't need to test gravity before breakfast." It was during these domestic maneuvers that Malcolm's mind raced through tactical possibilities. Surveillance cameras at the agenda offices had picked up increased activity overnight, operatives moving in synchronized patterns, almost as if rehearsing a dance. The computer worm, a digital phantom capable of unlocking government databases, was the kind of threat that could destabilize entire systems within hours, and yet, he had to maintain the guise of Big Mama grandmother worried about chores, cheerleading, and bedtime routines. The day unfolded in carefully orchestrated rhythms. Malcolm prepared breakfast, gently negotiating with Molly about nutrition and decorum, all while listening for the faintest hints of unusual activity, footsteps that shouldn't be there, cars idling too long outside, voices carried over fences. He delivered pancakes with practiced warmth, all the while planting subtle questions that tested the children's moods and routines, noting patterns for potential leverage. Mid-morning brought the first real challenge. A sleek black SUV pulled up outside, parking across the street with meticulous precision. Malcolm's trained eyes detected it instantly. Men in dark suits, moving with the certainty of professional operatives, emerged. They weren't here for casual visitation. They were here for surveillance. The worm, the files, the access points. They knew someone was close, and their instinct had led them here. Big Mama, as Malcolm, moved with purpose. The kitchen, once a place of domestic negotiation, transformed into a command center. He instructed Carrie to continue her cheerleading routines in the backyard, while Molly was sent to retrieve groceries under the guise of helping with chores. Andrew, unaware of the danger, toddled behind, clutching his stuffed animal. Malcolm whispered instructions, his voice a steady anchor. "Stay in motion, follow my lead. And remember, the floor is lava." He moved through the living room with the fluidity of a seasoned agent. Furniture was subtly rearranged, objects placed as improvised barricades or tools for defense. The black-suited men paused at the edge of the property, scanning, unaware that Big Mama's every step was monitored by his own silent preparations. Malcolm could see them from the kitchen window, calculating angles, anticipating their movements, and preparing contingencies for every scenario. The confrontation, when it came, was sudden. One operative stepped too close to the property line, triggering a chain reaction. Malcolm utilized the environment, throwing flour from the pantry to obscure vision, slipping on a strategically placed rug to create chaos, using Andrew's toy blocks as distractions. Each action was choreographed in real time, a dance of improvisation that combined domesticity with deadly precision. By the time the men realized they were compromised, Malcolm had already neutralized the immediate threat. One operative tripped over a chair, another collided with a doorframe, and a third, less fortunate, found himself caught in a makeshift net, improvised from laundry lines. The street, momentarily chaotic, settled as Malcolm adjusted his apron, re-scented his wig, and called out in a cheerful tone, "Breakfast is served, darlings. Don't forget your vitamins." Once the immediate danger passed, he moved to gather intelligence. Hidden cameras, encrypted files, and subtle clues left by the operatives were catalogued. A notebook, a USB drive, dropped carelessly by one of the agents, and a hastily scribbled note became valuable pieces in the puzzle. Malcolm understood that these small victories, while seemingly minor, accumulated into leverage against a much larger threat. By afternoon, Malcolm had to shift focus. The Fuller children required attention, and maintaining cover was paramount. He led Carrie through a rigorous cheerleading routine, offering subtle guidance that improved her technique, while simultaneously observing her interactions for signs of stress or fear. Molly, restless and skeptical, challenged him repeatedly, forcing Malcolm to employ humor, patience, and a careful balance of authority to maintain control. Andrew, ever unpredictable, tested the limits of his patience, prompting inventive methods to redirect energy safely. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the city, Kevin Keneally and Agent Morales were closing in on Fuller's communications. Stewart, the child hacker, provided intermittent updates, his small fingers dancing over keyboards in a quiet room miles away. Each byte of data, each intercepted message, revealed more about Fuller's plans and the hierarchy of Agenda's operations. Malcolm communicated in short bursts through concealed earpieces, providing guidance, interpreting behaviors, and coordinating responses in real time. Late afternoon brought the next escalation. Molly, curious and impatient, had discovered one of the encrypted drives left carelessly on the counter. Unaware of its importance, she activated a rudimentary program, which triggered a silent alarm within Agenda's network. Within minutes, a series of automated responses initiated, tracing the activation back to the Fuller residence. Malcolm realized the gravity immediately. The operatives were converging, their arrival inevitable if he did not act decisively. He instructed the children to prepare for a controlled evacuation. Carrie's cheerleading mat became a tactical distraction. Molly was guided to create decoy signals using the household's smart devices. And Andrew's toys were repurposed as minor deterrents, all under the guise of a playful game. Malcolm's mind raced, calculating probabilities, potential outcomes, and contingencies, all while maintaining the cheerful exterior of Big Momma. The operatives arrived just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the property. Malcolm met them at the threshold, wielding a combination of physical agility, quick thinking, and environmental improvisation. Flower clouds, rolling pins, swinging doors, and strategically tossed toys became tools in a battle that was part slapstick, part deadly serious. By the time local authorities, alerted discreetly by Kevin and Morales, arrived, the operatives were incapacitated, their plans foiled without a single civilian harmed. As night settled over Orange County, Malcolm retreated to the kitchen, removing the wig and apron with a sigh of relief. The house was quiet, save for the soft breathing of the children now asleep in their beds. Leah Fuller, exhausted but unaware of the full extent of the day's events, praised Big Momma for her diligence and care. Malcolm smiled, the weight of the day settling into his shoulders. There would be more challenges, more threats, but for now, the family was safe, the mission intact, and the veil of normalcy restored. In the quiet hours, Malcolm sat at the kitchen table, reviewing notes and digital evidence, piecing together the next phase of operations. The worm, the agenda operatives, and Tom Fuller's coerced compliance were threads in a much larger web. Each interaction, each domestic maneuver, and every small victory were parts of a broader strategy to dismantle the threats systematically. He traced connections, anticipated moves, and prepared contingencies for every conceivable outcome. By the time the first stars appeared in the night sky, Malcolm Turner Big Momma was ready. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new dangers, and new opportunities to protect the innocent, while maintaining the delicate balance of family, cover, and justice. Every step, every decision, and every movement carried the weight of consequences, but he remained unshaken. The duality of his life, FBI agent and grandmother, was not a burden, but a weapon, one he wielded with precision, care, and an unyielding commitment to those who could not protect themselves. And so, as the night deepened and Orange County settled into a rare moment of peace, Malcolm made a quiet vow to remain vigilant, to protect the Fullers, and to ensure that the darkness lurking within Agenda and the world beyond would never touch those who had entrusted their safety to Big Momma. In the kitchen, breakfast was an orchestrated symphony of noise and routine. Leah Fuller supervised with her usual meticulous eye, checking each plate, each utensil, each movement with critical attention. Molly, determined to assert her independence, balanced precariously on a stool, while attempting to butter toast with exaggerated flair. Carrie, full of nervous energy, bounced in rhythm with her cheerleading routine, weaving between chairs and cabinets with surprising agility. And Andrew, now wide awake, was climbing again, though this time Malcolm intercepted him with a practiced sweep of his arm, scooping the boy into a secure hold. While maintaining cover, Malcolm's mind raced. The last encounter with Agenda's operatives had revealed just how far they would go. Doug Hudson's death, the activated worm, the coercion of Tom Fuller were threads in a web that extended far beyond Orange County. Each family interaction, no matter how mundane, was now layered with tactical considerations. Every word spoken, every movement observed, was catalogued for patterns, behavioral cues, and potential leverage. The first alert of the day came via the small, concealed earpiece. Stuart, the child hacker working remotely, had intercepted a suspicious data packet. Big Momma, he whispered urgently. There's unusual activity in Fuller's email. Someone is sending coded messages to Agenda HQ. They're moving faster than before. Malcolm adjusted his glasses, nodding imperceptibly as he mentally charted a course of action. The mission had shifted. It was no longer merely surveillance or defense, it was preemptive containment. The threat wasn't just physical. It was digital, invisible, capable of compromising thousands of lives if not contained. He moved through the house with careful deliberation, issuing instructions under the guise of domestic authority. "Molly, why don't you help me set the table properly for breakfast? It's all about balance, you know. Even toast needs structure." She rolled her eyes but complied, while Carrie was redirected to practice her routine in the backyard. Andrew, now somewhat compliant, was instructed to color quietly, though he still peeked over Malcolm's shoulder with mischievous curiosity. The morning unfolded with careful choreography. Malcolm checked the front yard from the kitchen window, eyes scanning for unusual movement, noting the subtle patterns of passing cars, the occasional pedestrian, and the arrangement of security cameras across the street. Inside, Leah prepared coffee, oblivious to the tension threading through every gesture of her supposed grandmother. Malcolm balanced the domestic facade with strategic observation, every motion deliberate, every word chosen to maintain cover while preparing for any eventuality. By mid-morning, the next phase of the operation commenced. Malcolm had identified a potential agenda courier, someone transporting encrypted drives from a nearby drop point to Fuller's office. The plan required stealth, timing, and minimal disruption. He called Kevin Kenyally through the concealed earpiece. "We have movement. Courier is approaching the neighborhood. Full containment protocol activated. Maintain distance, but be ready to intervene." Kevin's voice was quiet but firm. "Copy that. I'm on Overwatch. Stuart, keep those packets coming. Any irregularity, and I'll respond." Malcolm slipped outside, Big Mama's persona fully intact. To an unsuspecting observer, he was simply adjusting the garden plants, humming an old tune, bending over to check the soil. Yet every step, every glance, every gesture was tactical. The courier approached in a nondescript sedan, unaware of the invisible net being woven around him. A sudden loud crash from inside the house drew the courier's attention momentarily. Malcolm seized the opportunity. Using a combination of flour from the pantry and strategically placed garden tools, he created a controlled distraction. The courier exited the vehicle to investigate, giving Malcolm the window he needed. In a fluid sequence of motions, he intercepted the operative, disarming him and securing the encrypted drives with precision that was both elegant and lethal. Inside the house, Carrie and Molly were guided seamlessly through the distractions, each child's movement part of the plan. Andrew, giggling at the chaos, became an unwitting asset, drawing attention away from Malcolm's actions. Leah, still unaware, commented on the unusual noise, prompting Malcolm to respond with exaggerated concern. "Oh dear, just a little tumble, nothing to worry about." His words were casual, his actions decisive. Once the operative was secured, Malcolm moved quickly to analyze the data. Stuart's hacking prowess complemented his own field experience. Together, they decrypted the drives, uncovering a series of communications outlining agendas, next steps, the worm's activation schedule, targets for infiltration, and the identities of key operatives. It was the digital blueprint of impending disaster, and now, in Malcolm's hands, it became a tool for preemption. The afternoon brought a different kind of challenge, interpersonal. Leah had begun to suspect anomalies in Big Mama's behavior, subtle shifts in demeanor that didn't align with her usual routine. Malcolm navigated these interactions with finesse, deploying humor, empathy, and gentle correction to redirect suspicion. "Leah, you always worry too much. Let's focus on the joy of the day." His smile was warm, his eyes calculating, a perfect balance of familial care and tactical oversight. Meanwhile, Molly and Carrie required attention for their respective activities. Molly, frustrated with her own lack of progress in cheerleading and personal image, became argumentative, challenging every instruction. Malcolm responded with patience, guiding her through exercises that improved both skill and confidence, while subtly testing her adherence to instructions, a practice run for potential cooperation during field operations. Carrie's cheerleading routines became a cover for subtle tactical drills, movements mimicking those he might need in physical intervention scenarios. As the sun began to descend toward the horizon, the next phase of the operation escalated. Reports came in of agenda operatives moving closer, now coordinated in a small team. Their intent was unmistakable: direct engagement with the Fuller household, leveraging the family to manipulate Tom Fuller's compliance. Malcolm's mind raced, mapping exit strategies, environmental advantages, and improvised defensive measures. He moved swiftly, transforming the house into a defensive maze. Furniture was repositioned, household items became improvised barriers, and every room was considered for tactical advantage. He briefed the children under the guise of a playful game, ensuring they understood movements without revealing the danger. Pretend the floor is lava, he instructed, and we have to navigate without touching certain spots. Think of it as fun. Okay. Their giggles masked the underlying seriousness, maintaining cover while preparing for controlled action. The operatives arrived under the cloak of dusk, moving with silent precision. Malcolm anticipated every step, deploying flower clouds, improvised trip lines, and loud noises at calculated intervals. Chaos erupted, yet it was controlled, a ballet of calculated movement. Operatives stumbled over carefully placed obstacles, misinterpreted false signals, and fell into controlled traps. Malcolm moved through them with the grace of a seasoned martial artist, combining defensive strikes, agile evasion, and environmental leverage to neutralize threats without collateral damage. Kevin Kenyally provided overwatch, guiding actions from a distance, while Stewart continued decryption, feeding Malcolm real-time intelligence. Each operative, incapacitated, provided new data points, revealing further aspects of Agenda's network, their hierarchy, and digital plans. It was a dual battle, physical engagement in the household, and digital warfare spanning miles away. By nightfall, the immediate threat was contained. Malcolm reviewed the aftermath, cataloging every interaction, every minor breach, and every victory. The household returned to a semblance of normalcy. Leah praised Big Momma for her diligence. Molly and Kerry were guided gently toward routine tasks, and Andrew finally settled into bed, exhausted from a day filled with unexpected adventure. In the quiet hours, Malcolm analyzed the decrypted data, connecting threads that revealed a pattern extending beyond Orange County. The worm, while contained temporarily, was part of a larger digital offensive. Agenda's operatives were dispersed across multiple locations, their coordination sophisticated, their threat evolving. Malcolm realized that success today was but a prelude to greater challenges. The mission was far from over. He drafted plans for the next phase, considering potential risks, predicting operative movements, and developing contingencies for every conceivable scenario. Communication with Morales and Kevin remained constant, a lifeline of intelligence and coordination. Stewart's hacking provided a digital map overlaying the real-world dynamics, enabling preemptive actions and strategic interventions. By the first hours of the following morning, Malcolm prepared for another day. The Fuller household, still unaware of the depth of danger, moved with ordinary rhythm, breakfast, chores, and the beginnings of a new day. Yet, beneath the surface, Big Momma Malcolm Turner remained vigilant, ready to respond, to adapt, and to protect. Every gesture, every word, every movement carried the weight of experience, intuition, and an unbreakable commitment to justice. As the sun rose higher, casting light across lawns and sidewalks, Malcolm felt a quiet satisfaction. Today's operations had succeeded, the immediate threat neutralized, and the family remained safe. But tomorrow would bring new challenges. Agenda was relentless, the worm still a threat, and Tom Fuller's compliance still tenuous. The balance between domesticity and duty, between Big Momma and Malcolm Turner, was delicate, yet it was a balance he had mastered over years of experience. He paused by the window, observing the quiet street. Birds flitted from tree to tree, children on bicycles passed with carefree laughter, and neighbors moved about in their routines, oblivious to the invisible battle waging just beyond their perception. Malcolm took a deep breath, savoring the fleeting peace, knowing it would be fleeting. The next mission awaited, the next challenge inevitable, but he was ready. Big Momma was always ready. Malcolm had learned long ago that maintaining cover required constant vigilance. Today, his attention was divided between domestic responsibilities and the ongoing digital threat posed by Agenda's operatives. Stewart, the child hacker, had sent a new alert. A suspicious network ping indicated that the worm's code might already be spreading beyond National Agenda Software's mainframe. If not intercepted immediately, it could compromise local government servers and financial systems nationwide. Malcolm's fingers itched to act. Timing and precision were everything. As breakfast continued, he discreetly communicated with Kevin Kenyally via the earpiece. "Kevin, status update. Are we clear for Phase 2? He whispered, under the guise of adjusting Molly's hair. Kevin's voice crackled through. "All clear. Surveillance indicates 2 more operatives. En route. They're using a modified SUV. Blacked out windows. No license plate visible. Estimated time to target. 12 minutes. Malcolm's gaze hardened. Every minute counted, and the children's safety remained paramount. He orchestrated a subtle shift in routine. "Girls, let's tidy up before schoolwork," he said, guiding Molly and Kerry toward the living room, while simultaneously positioning Andrew near the breakfast table, with an activity designed to keep him occupied. Every step was choreographed to mask his true intentions, domestic normalcy, as camouflage for tactical preparation. By mid-morning, the SUV appeared on the street, its engine purring with the quiet menace of someone confident in their anonymity. Malcolm, watching from the blinds, signaled Kevin. The earpiece allowed them to synchronize movements seamlessly. Malcolm's plan required deception, agility, and precise timing. He had to neutralize the operatives without alarming Leah or the neighborhood. Stepping outside under the guise of gardening, Malcolm wielded a rake with the casualness of a suburban grandmother. Yet every movement was deliberate. As the SUV drew closer, he dropped the rake, using its length to trip the front tire while springing forward in a graceful, controlled dive. The driver, unprepared for the sudden intervention, lost control momentarily, giving Malcolm the split-second advantage to disarm the front passenger, who attempted to leap from the vehicle. Inside the house, Carrie and Molly had been guided to the study room, ostensibly for homework, though each action they took was subtly incorporated into Malcolm's defense strategy. Andrew, oblivious to danger, provided cover by drawing Leah's attention to a supposedly misplaced document. "Oh dear," Leah exclaimed, distracted. "I think I left the invoices on the counter." Malcolm's eyes flicked toward the distraction. Every civilian reaction was a potential tactical advantage. The confrontation outside escalated quickly. Malcolm used a combination of agility, improvised weaponry, and sheer momentum to neutralize the remaining operatives, forcing them into controlled containment areas, until Kevin arrived to secure them for interrogation. Within moments, the threat was subdued, yet Malcolm remained vigilant. He knew agenda was adaptive and persistent. Once the immediate danger passed, he retreated into the house, adjusting Big Mama's apron and smoothing down his dress to maintain the illusion of domesticity. Leah eyed him curiously. "Big Mama, you look a bit disheveled today," she remarked, noticing faint smudges on his sleeves. Malcolm laughed lightly, attributing it to gardening mishaps. "Oh, you know me, always in a rush. Can't keep these old bones still," he said, masking the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Stewart's latest update had revealed a deeper layer of agenda's operations. The worm was programmed to activate in stages, each stage linked to a series of coded communications, only accessible via encrypted mobile networks. The Fuller's residence had become an unwitting control hub for intercepting these signals, and Malcolm had to manage both the household and a live counter-operation. He moved through the house with quiet authority, checking devices, rerouting communications, and ensuring Leah remained unaware of the digital chess game playing out beneath her roof. Molly, curious, peered over his shoulder. "Big Mama, what are you doing?" she asked innocently. Malcolm smiled, masking tension with warmth. "Just making sure the Wi-Fi is strong, sweetie. Can't have you missing your practice videos, now, can we?" Every word was measured, every gesture deliberate, maintaining cover, while executing high-level surveillance. The afternoon brought the next challenge. Tom Fuller, coerced under threat by Casal, had been summoned to Agenda's corporate site for a confidential meeting. Malcolm had to ensure Tom's safety while continuing to monitor the worm's activity and maintain cover with the Fuller family. Kevin and Stewart coordinated remotely, providing real-time intel. Malcolm devised a plan for extraction that relied on timing, deception, and an intricate understanding of both physical and digital environments. He began with the household. Leah, growing increasingly suspicious, needed to be kept engaged, yet unaware. "Big Mama, are you cooking again? It smells unusual," she said, sniffing the air. Malcolm laughed softly, guiding her into the kitchen. "Just a new recipe, dear, you'll love it. Can't have you worrying while your big muscles are out there cheering the girls on," he said, subtly reinforcing routine to distract from operational tasks. Carrie and Molly were enlisted for operational roles, without their awareness of danger. Carrie's cheer routines became part of a diversion plan, her jumps and spins synchronized to create auditory and visual distractions when necessary. Molly, practicing her movements, provided cover for Malcolm's rapid transitions between rooms and observation points. Andrew, still climbing and playing, remained a controlled variable, drawing attention where needed. As the sun set, Malcolm initiated the next phase, interception of Tom Fuller, before reaching the corporate site. Using the Fuller's family van, he orchestrated a seemingly ordinary errand that placed Tom within controlled proximity. Kevin, monitoring traffic patterns, provided navigation cues, while Stewart manipulated communications, creating the illusion of an empty route. Malcolm's timing was flawless. positioning Tom out of harm's way moments before agenda operatives could intervene. Once Tom was secured, Malcolm had to ensure the worm was neutralized. Stuart guided him through a digital decryption process, while Kevin coordinated with Morales to prepare the FBI's tactical team for potential confrontation. The worm, a sophisticated piece of malware designed to infiltrate government systems, required careful handling. Malcolm's expertise in field operations translated seamlessly to this digital battlefield, identifying weak points, isolating threats, and neutralizing the malicious code without triggering alerts. Meanwhile, the household remained oblivious. Leah, reassured by Big Mama's presence, commented on the day's successful routines. "You're amazing, Big Mama. I don't know how you do it all," she said. Malcolm smiled, masking fatigue and triumph. "Oh, you know me. Just keeping busy. Someone has to make sure everything runs smoothly," he replied, his words a perfect blend of domestic warmth and operational poise. By nightfall, the immediate mission had been accomplished. The worm was contained, Tom Fuller was safe, and Agenda's operatives had been neutralized or captured. Malcolm, however, knew the fight was far from over. Agenda's network extended far beyond Orange County, and the Fuller's home had been a mere front line. He took a moment in the quiet of the evening, standing by the window, observing the street bathed in soft moonlight. The children had been tucked into bed, Leah had retired to her room, and the neighborhood was still, serene, and unaware of the day's high-stakes battles. Malcolm allowed himself a brief sigh of relief, knowing that every victory here was a step toward dismantling a much larger threat, yet he also knew the necessity of balance. Domestic cover had to remain intact, relationships maintained, and appearances preserved. Tomorrow, the challenges would continue: more operatives, more digital threats, more strategic maneuvers. Each day required the same combination of intellect, agility, and adaptability that had brought him this far. As he adjusted Big Mama's shawl and prepared for the night, Malcolm reflected on the complexity of the mission: protecting innocence, preserving cover, neutralizing threats, and maintaining family harmony all simultaneously. Every decision, every movement, every word carried consequences. The duality of his life as loving stepfather and lethal operative was a delicate balance, one he had mastered through experience, instinct, and unwavering dedication. Outside, the quiet of the night belied the invisible threads of conflict stretching across the county. Agenda's network was intricate, adaptive, and relentless. Yet in this moment, Malcolm had secured a haven, a temporary victory, and the opportunity to plan for the next inevitable confrontation. Big Mama, as always, was ready. Malcolm Turner, beneath the disguise, was vigilant, prepared, and unyielding. Malcolm glanced across the breakfast table, where Molly and Carrie were arguing over the proper execution of their cheer routine. Andrew had climbed atop the dining table again, giggling at his own precarious balance. Leah Fuller, ever vigilant, was focused on ensuring her children adhered to their schedules, while simultaneously scolding Malcolm for allegedly over-involving himself in minor household decisions. Big Mama, however, used these interactions to maintain cover, subtly observing patterns, gauging potential points of leverage, and calculating how the household could be used as both shield and strategic base. Kevin Kenneally's voice crackled through the earpiece. "Malcolm, new intel. Agenda has deployed a courier to deliver a microchip that could reboot the worm remotely. They're moving fast, location tracked to a storage facility downtown. Estimated time of arrival, 35 minutes. Malcolm nodded discreetly, adjusting his shawl. "Copy that. Keep eyes on the perimeter. I'll intercept and neutralize." The first challenge was to mobilize without revealing his true identity or alarming the Fullers. Malcolm enlisted Molly to fetch a mailing error that would lead him outside, while Carrie's cheer practice provided cover for his departure. Andrew's playful antics ensured Leah's attention was focused elsewhere. By the time he reached the driveway, Big Mama's demeanor had convinced Leah that her stepfather-in-law was merely supervising chores or errands. The storage facility loomed ahead, an industrial expanse surrounded by chain-link fencing and security cameras. Malcolm moved like a phantom, his Big Mama persona allowing him to blend into the mundane and elderly woman walking with purpose, unaware of the digital battlefield about to unfold. Kevin's voice guided him through the earpiece, providing details on guard rotations, camera blind spots, and the courier's expected route. Inside, the facility was a labyrinth of shelves, crates, and narrow passageways. The microchip, hidden inside a nondescript envelope, was under constant surveillance. Malcolm used every ounce of his agility and tactical training to maneuver through the shadows, relying on improvised tools to disable cameras and silently neutralize guards. His every movement was calculated, fluid, almost balletic in execution. At the heart of the warehouse, the courier arrived, unaware of the invisible predator in his midst. Malcolm's hand darted out, intercepting the package midair, while simultaneously using a nearby broomstick to trip a pursuing guard. The confrontation was a dance of precision. Big Momma's disguise allowed him to move unpredictably, blending feigned clumsiness with deadly accuracy. The microchip was secured, and with Kevin coordinating external distractions, Malcolm exited the facility undetected. Back at the Fuller home, domestic chaos masked the tactical operation. Leah had decided the girls needed to clean the study, a task that inadvertently aligned with Malcolm's need to scan household devices for any signs of agenda interference. Molly and Carrie, completely unaware of the stakes, moved through the rooms, their chatter providing a comforting normalcy. Malcolm used their movements to discreetly check laptops, routers, and other digital nodes for unauthorized access attempts. Meanwhile, Stuart worked furiously to analyze the microchip. Its encryption was sophisticated, designed to adapt dynamically and counteract standard FBI protocols. Malcolm guided him remotely, walking Stuart through a series of complex bypasses, firewall manipulations, and manual overrides. Kevin monitored both the digital feed and street-level activity, ensuring that no external threats compromised the mission. Every second was critical. As the afternoon waned, Malcolm orchestrated the next phase, ensuring that the microchip could be neutralized without triggering Agenda's failsafes. He arranged a controlled simulation using a decoy device, allowing Stuart to test multiple attack vectors while avoiding exposure of the true worm's vulnerability. Each trial revealed subtle patterns, hidden redundancies, and failsafe mechanisms built into Agenda's malware. By early evening, they had mapped a precise neutralization sequence complex, delicate, and dependent on flawless timing. Domestic duties continued to serve as camouflage. Big Momma prepared dinner, occasionally teasing Leah with humorous remarks about the impossibility of keeping Andrew under control. "Oh Leah, you do try so hard. Bless your heart. But some things just can't be tamed." Malcolm's voice was playful, yet every comment was a strategic diversion, ensuring that Leah remained engaged and oblivious to the operations unfolding around her. Kevin's voice suddenly broke through the earpiece. "Malcolm, alert Agenda operatives have deployed a drone. It's equipped with visual sensors, likely scanning for irregular activity. Estimated approach, 10 minutes. Malcolm's eyes narrowed. The drone represented an immediate threat to both his digital operation and the household's cover. He scanned the backyard, noting vantage points, potential obstructions, and shadows. Timing was everything. Using a combination of reflective surfaces and subtle hand signals, Malcolm guided Kevin in remotely triggering a series of environmental diversions. Sprinklers activated in precise sequences, creating visual distortion for the drone's senses, while strategically placed metallic objects deflected its infrared capabilities. The drone passed overhead, misled, unaware of the true nature of the operation below. With the immediate aerial threat mitigated, Malcolm refocused on the microchip. Stuart's hands flew over his keyboard, typing commands with a mix of urgency and precision. Lines of code scrolled across the screen, each entry a step closer to neutralization. Malcolm's eyes scanned the operation in real time, predicting potential glitches, intercepting anomalies, and ensuring that Agenda's malware could be disabled without collateral damage. Suddenly, the front door burst open. Leah, oblivious to the digital operation but concerned about neighborhood safety, had returned from a quick errand, dragging Andrew in by the hand. Malcolm's mind raced. One wrong move, one overt gesture, and the entire operation could be compromised. He adopted the perfect posture of casual domesticity, a smile, a nod, and the immediate direction to Andrew. "Sweetie, why don't you help Big Momma set the table?" he suggested, masking tension with warmth. Leah, reassured by his composure, smiled and allowed him to continue uninterrupted. The final stages of neutralization were intricate. Stuart's analysis revealed a backup protocol within the microchip designed to trigger if physical tampering was detected. Malcolm had to isolate this mechanism without alarming it, using a combination of manual manipulation, environmental controls, and remote digital commands. He carefully disarmed the failsafe, ensuring the worm could be rendered inert. Kevin provided continuous monitoring, ready to intercept any unexpected countermeasures. Minutes later, the operation was complete. The microchip was neutralized, Agenda's immediate threat eliminated, and the household remained blissfully unaware of the high-stakes digital battle that had just concluded under their roof. Malcolm exhaled quietly, allowing the weight of the day to settle. Yet, as he straightened Big Momma's apron and adjusted his shawl, he knew this victory was temporary. Agenda's network extended beyond a single microchip, beyond Orange County. Each neutralized threat was a small victory in a much larger war, and the Fuller's home had become both sanctuary and strategic hub. The duality of his life as nurturing stepfather and lethal operative remained a delicate balance, requiring constant vigilance, ingenuity, and foresight. As evening descended, Malcolm took a moment to observe the quiet suburban streets. Lights twinkled in neighboring houses, children played under the fading sun, and life continued with peaceful normalcy. This was the world he fought to protect, not just from Agenda, but from the chaos, fear, and uncertainty that threatened to infiltrate every facet of civilian life. Big Momma's presence in the household remained unquestioned. Leah, trusting and grateful, viewed her as an indispensable part of the family's daily rhythm. The children, unaware of the dual realities at play, continued their routines under careful guidance. Every smile, every laugh, every mundane interaction was a shield, a mask, and a strategic advantage. Stewart's final report confirmed the success. The worm was disabled. Agenda's couriers compromised, and operational security maintained. Kevin's debriefing suggested that further digital sweeps could be conducted with minimal risk. Malcolm allowed himself a fleeting moment of satisfaction, knowing that the culmination of meticulous planning, improvisation, and sheer resolve had yielded a decisive outcome. Yet, true to the nature of his life, there was no time for rest. Agenda's network remained active, adaptive, and persistent. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, and new opportunities to safeguard the innocent. Malcolm, as Big Momma, and Malcolm, as an operative, were ready. Every move, every decision, every action would continue to balance domesticity with covert operations, humor with lethal efficiency, and family care with global responsibility. As night fully settled over Orange County, the house grew quiet. Leah slept soundly, Molly and Carrie rested after their evening routines, and Andrew finally succumbed to fatigue. Malcolm, alone in the dim glow of the living room, reflected on the day's victories and the challenges ahead. The duality of his existence, love, laughter, danger, and duty remained perfectly synchronized, a dance he had mastered through years of experience. Outside, the neighborhood's tranquility concealed the invisible threads of conflict stretching across the city. Agenda's operatives would regroup, adapt, and attempt further infiltration. Yet within these walls, Big Momma, both guardian and operative, stood, vigilant, prepared, and unyielding. Each victory was temporary, each decision pivotal, and every day required unwavering focus. In that quiet moment, Malcolm allowed himself a brief smile, acknowledging the delicate balance he maintained, the lives he protected, and the invisible war being waged for the safety of those he cared for most. Big Momma's eyes, warm yet watchful, scanned the horizon. Tomorrow, the battle would continue, but tonight, victory was quietly theirs. Malcolm's mind was a constant whirl of calculations. Each interaction within the Fuller household was an opportunity to gather intelligence without breaking cover. Leah Fuller continued her relentless routine, unaware that her strict enforcement of chores and schedules created the perfect cover for Malcolm's covert observations. Molly, eager to assert her independence, wandered through the living room, her sketchbook clutched tightly as she documented the family's daily patterns, oblivious to the fact that her drawings captured subtle irregularities in visitors and deliveries. Carrie, bright-eyed and brimming with energy, rehearsed her cheerleading routines while inadvertently providing Malcolm with a clear view of the front yard and street beyond, creating a live surveillance opportunity disguised as family practice. The morning remained deceptively calm until a delivery van, unmarked and moving cautiously, appeared at the curb. Malcolm's eyes sharpened instantly. The vehicle's slow pace and evasive parking suggested it was more than a routine delivery. Signaling Kevin through a subtle hand gesture, Malcolm instructed the children to continue their activities while he approached the door to greet the driver. With a warm smile, his Big Momma persona perfectly in place, he opened the door just enough to intercept the package. "Delivery for Mr. Fuller?" Malcolm asked cheerfully, masking the tension in his voice. The driver nodded, handing over a small package with a sense of urgency that betrayed its ordinary appearance. Malcolm guided the driver away from the house under the pretense of confirming details and returned with the package, slipping it into a hidden compartment within the kitchen cabinet. Once secured, he examined the contents, a compact electronic device embedded with encrypted circuits, clearly intended for use in Agenda Software's ongoing cyber operations. This was not the first interception of the day, and certainly not the last. Meanwhile, Kevin, stationed at the street corner, maintained a keen eye on potential threats, noting the behavior of pedestrians and vehicles alike. He relayed subtle cues to Malcolm through an encrypted earpiece, ensuring that any suspicious activity could be immediately addressed. Their coordination had reached a level where each move, gesture, and glance carried unspoken meaning, a silent conversation threading through the tension of a high-stakes undercover operation. By late morning, Malcolm had formulated a precise plan to leverage the family's routine for the day's intelligence gathering. Carrie's cheerleading practice was extended under the guise of a special drill, designed to occupy her attention while providing Malcolm the opportunity to unobtrusively inspect various household and electronic systems. Molly, with her sketchbook, was gently guided toward cataloging the patterns of visitors and deliveries, her innocent observations feeding into the broader intelligence framework without raising suspicion. Andrew, in his boundless energy, became a minor distraction that Malcolm used strategically. Each of his climbing attempts, each playful dash across the room, forced Malcolm to react in ways that seemed natural to Leah, while simultaneously allowing him to monitor for anomalies in the household and neighborhood environment. The balance between domestic care and covert operation was delicate, yet Malcolm executed it flawlessly, as if every gesture were an extension of his dual identity. As the afternoon sun climbed higher, the team received a tip through Stuart, the child hacker. Agenda Software operatives were planning an unscheduled visit to the Fuller household, likely to assess the success of previous deliveries. Malcolm immediately shifted focus, instructing Kevin to remain on high alert outside while he prepared inside for the inevitable encounter. The operation required impeccable timing. One misstep could compromise both the children's safety and the overarching investigation into the computer worm and its potential government infiltration. The operatives arrived just past midday, entering with casual confidence, unaware that every movement was being monitored and analyzed. Malcolm, in his Big Momma persona, greeted them warmly, masking the undercurrent of calculated scrutiny. His every gesture, from the slight tilt of his head to the careful positioning of his hands, was designed to control the room, ensuring that he maintained dominance while avoiding suspicion. Kevin, outside, observed for any signs of secondary threats or surveillance, ready to intervene if necessary. Inside, the operatives began inspecting the house, commenting on household items and minor discrepancies with a professional air. Malcolm guided them with practiced ease, subtly steering their attention away from sensitive areas while simultaneously gathering information about their identities, communication methods, and connections. Every word, every glance, was catalogued mentally, building a profile of the operatives' roles within Agenda Software and their broader network. The tension escalated when one operative attempted to access a restricted area, a locked cabinet containing both financial documents and sensitive electronics. Malcolm acted swiftly but naturally, using a combination of feigned distraction and strategic maneuvering to redirect attention. "Oh, you must be looking for the cleaning supplies," he exclaimed, gesturing toward a nearby closet, masking the urgency behind his cheerful tone. The operative hesitated, buying enough time for Malcolm to subtly disable the device and secure the sensitive contents without drawing notice. By late afternoon, the operatives, unaware of their failure, departed as nonchalantly as they had arrived. Malcolm immediately began cataloging the information obtained, cross-referencing notes with Stuart's decrypted logs and Kevin's observations. The team now possessed detailed insight into the operatives' methods, routes, and objectives, significantly advancing the mission's progress. Evening descended over the Fuller household, and Malcolm transitioned seamlessly back into caretaker mode. Dinner preparations, playful engagement with the children, and managing Leah's meticulous household expectations occupied the evening hours. Yet beneath this domestic veneer, Malcolm's mind remained focused on the larger operation, analyzing data, preparing contingency plans, and anticipating the next move by Agenda Software operatives. Kevin, reviewing the day's activities from the SUV, provided feedback via earpiece, highlighting anomalies in vehicle movements and pedestrian behaviors. Malcolm nodded, integrating the observations into his strategic framework. Each day, each interaction, each minor disruption contributed to the overall mission, allowing the team to methodically dismantle Agenda Software's network while maintaining the cover of family life. Late into the night, Malcolm conducted a final sweep of the house, ensuring that sensitive information remained secure and that the children were safe and settled. The day had been long, filled with strategic maneuvers, covert observation, and the ever-present challenge of balancing familial duties with national security responsibilities. The mission was far from over. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new operatives, and continued opportunities for insight. As the house finally settled into silence, Malcolm reflected on the delicate interplay of trust, observation, and strategy. Every moment within the Fuller household was a calculated risk, every action a potential pivot point in a complex game of intelligence, deception, and protection. With Kevin standing watch outside and Stuart ready to provide digital reconnaissance, Malcolm allowed himself a brief moment of quiet, preparing for the next day's intricate dance of domesticity and covert operations. Kevin, stationed discreetly in the front driveway, scanned the neighborhood with the practiced eye of a seasoned field agent. His focus was unwavering, noting the flow of early commuters, delivery trucks, and casual passersby who could be potential surveillance or operatives in disguise. He tapped a sequence into his secure comms device, relaying patterns to Malcolm with concise but precise updates. A delivery van parked suspiciously 2 blocks away, an unfamiliar sedan lingering near the park across the street, a pedestrian making repeated loops around the Fuller neighborhood. Each observation was critical. Any oversight could compromise both the ongoing investigation and the safety of the Fuller family. Malcolm paused briefly to check on Andrew, who was attempting a daring climb on the living room furniture. The toddler's antics, while seemingly chaotic, provided Malcolm with an unconventional advantage, a live distraction that allowed him to monitor household entries and subtle movements around the house. He navigated Andrew's energy with a mix of patience and tactical awareness, ensuring that every playful interaction doubled as a surveillance opportunity. Molly, meanwhile, had begun her morning sketching session, innocently chronicling details that Malcolm knew would later provide insight into visitor patterns and anomalies in the household. Carrie, ever the energetic cheerleader, practiced routines in the backyard, giving Malcolm a clear view of the front gates and allowing Kevin to focus on street-level security without concern for blind spots. By mid-morning, the operation required a strategic pivot. Stuart, the child hacker assisting remotely, had intercepted encrypted communications, indicating that agenda software operatives planned to test the family's new security system. The intelligence suggested a small team would arrive, armed with tools for both surveillance and electronic intrusion. Malcolm immediately formulated a multi-layered plan. He would maintain his Big Momma persona to greet and distract the intruders, while Kevin monitored exits and approach routes, and Stuart manipulated the security feeds to create controlled blind spots and false signals. When the operatives arrived, Malcolm's execution was flawless. Each step, each word, and each gesture projected the warmth and authority expected of Big Momma, masking the razor-sharp strategic mind behind the persona. The operatives entered cautiously, examining the house with calculated attention, unaware that their every movement was being observed, logged, and countered. Malcolm guided them through the house, diverting them from sensitive areas and subtly extracting information about their objectives, communication methods, and affiliations within agenda software. One operative, emboldened and inquisitive, attempted to access a locked office door. Malcolm reacted instantly, positioning himself naturally in the operative's line of sight, while gesturing toward a mundane distraction. "Oh, you must be looking for the extra towels, dear," he said warmly, leading the operative away from the door without arousing suspicion. This seamless blend of domestic charm and tactical ingenuity neutralized a potentially catastrophic breach, exemplifying the delicate balance of Malcolm's dual responsibilities. Kevin's updates through the earpiece ensured that Malcolm remained fully informed of external movements. A second vehicle had appeared on a side street, its occupants appearing to take note of the Fuller household's activity. Stuart's digital intervention manipulated the security cameras, creating loops that concealed the operative's approach and provided Malcolm with additional time to assess and respond to the evolving situation. By afternoon, the intelligence gathered had revealed critical insights into the operative's hierarchy and operational methods. Details regarding communications channels, planned intrusions, and potential collaborators were meticulously documented, feeding into the larger framework of Agenda Software's network analysis. Malcolm coordinated with Kevin and Stuart to map out the next phase of the operation, ensuring that every action remained synchronized with the broader mission objectives. As the sun began its descent, Leah's return from errands added another layer of complexity. Malcolm seamlessly transitioned from field operative to caretaker, presenting breakfast remnants, managing the children, and responding to Leah's inquiries with natural ease. Every interaction reinforced the illusion of domestic normalcy, while providing subtle cues for operational adjustments. Based on observed behaviors and unexpected variables, evening brought an unanticipated challenge. Molly had ventured outside for a quick errand and encountered a figure loitering near the neighborhood's edge. Someone Stewart identified through his remote surveillance as a potential agenda operative, conducting preliminary reconnaissance. Malcolm, maintaining composure, instructed Kevin to discreetly intercept while he continued to manage the household, ensuring that neither the children nor Leah became aware of the immediate threat. The interception was swift and professional, with Kevin neutralizing the operative's surveillance without escalating the situation or alerting the wider network. Returning inside, Malcolm conducted a comprehensive review of the day's events. Every detail, from the behavior of the children to the subtle shifts in operative patterns, was analyzed and cross-referenced against Stewart's intercepted communications. The intelligence gleaned provided a clearer picture of Agenda Software's operational structure, offering insights into both immediate threats and potential long-term strategies. As night fell, Malcolm implemented final security measures. All sensitive data was securely hidden. Emergency protocols were rehearsed with Kevin, and contingency plans were updated to account for potential escalations. The household settled into quiet routines. Yet Malcolm remained vigilant, understanding that the delicate balance of safety, observation, and covert operation could be disrupted at any moment. In the stillness of the evening, Malcolm reflected on the intricate dance of domesticity and espionage that defined his life as Big Momma. Each action, from guiding a child's play to redirecting an intruder, was a carefully calculated move within a complex game of intelligence, protection, and strategy. The operation was far from complete, but with Kevin's watchful eye and Stewart's technological prowess, Malcolm had secured a decisive advantage, setting the stage for the next phase of their high-stakes mission against Agenda Software's relentless pursuit of control. Stewart's remote monitoring continued unabated, his fingers flying over the keyboard as he decrypted fresh data from intercepted communications. He had traced a series of encrypted messages between Agenda operatives, hinting at a planned meeting with a new accomplice within the software corporation. This was a critical lead, one that required precision and patience. Malcolm knew that moving too early could compromise both the investigation and the safety of the Fuller family. Kevin, stationed at a discreet vantage point near the community park, provided real-time updates on external movements. His eyes scanned each passing vehicle, noting patterns, anomalies, and potential threats. A black SUV had been observed making repeated circuits around the neighborhood, its presence suspicious but not overtly threatening. Through the earpiece, Kevin relayed details with crisp efficiency, allowing Malcolm to adjust the household operations seamlessly without revealing his awareness of the external threat. The morning unfolded with a series of coordinated tasks designed to blend ordinary domestic life with tactical intelligence gathering. Malcolm guided Carrie through a cheerleading routine in the backyard, subtly observing the street from the patio, while Molly's artistic sketches provided additional clues as to any unusual visitors or deliveries. Andrew's playful climbing became a secondary surveillance tool, with Malcolm noting patterns in the movements of neighbors and occasional strangers passing by. Every child's activity was leveraged to maintain both cover and awareness. By mid-morning, the critical lead required a field investigation. A local cafe, identified through Stewart's decrypted messages, had been used as a temporary meeting spot by Agenda operatives. Malcolm, in full Big Momma disguise, prepared to leave under the guise of a casual errand. Kevin shadowed the perimeter in a nondescript vehicle, providing overwatch and ensuring no operative could approach unnoticed. Stewart maintained remote access to the cafe's surveillance network, feeding real-time images and movement patterns directly to Malcolm's earpiece. At the cafe, Malcolm blended seamlessly with patrons, observing the flow of customers, staff movements, and any individuals displaying atypical behavior. His practiced gaze detected a man in a business suit, exhibiting repeated glances toward the cafe entrance, his posture rigid and movements deliberate. Recognizing him as a potential Agenda operative, Malcolm orchestrated a subtle engagement, ordering an elaborate coffee and pastry combination, providing the operative an opportunity to approach while maintaining control of the interaction. The operative, believing he had spotted an ordinary civilian, engaged in casual conversation. Malcolm, through careful questioning and observation, extracted critical details about meeting times, participants, and locations without revealing his true identity. Each word, gesture, and response was calculated to elicit information while maintaining the facade of Big Momma's warm, unassuming persona. Kevin monitored exits and surrounding streets, ensuring a safe extraction path should the situation escalate. Returning to the Fuller residence, Malcolm integrated the new intelligence into Stuart's ongoing digital mapping of Agenda Software's network. The information revealed a planned transfer of sensitive data from a corporate server to an unknown external location. This would require a coordinated response, combining both field operations and digital intervention to prevent any breach. Malcolm convened a brief operational meeting with Kevin and Stuart, outlining a synchronized approach that balanced precision with minimal risk to civilians. Later in the afternoon, Leah's routine errands provided Malcolm with the opportunity to conduct a controlled sweep of the neighborhood. Using Big Momma's natural authority and warm demeanor, he engaged with neighbors, casual observers, and delivery personnel, subtly probing for anomalies in the community's daily rhythm. Stuart cross-referenced the physical observations with digital intel, identifying a vehicle with mismatched license plates and a driver exhibiting patterns consistent with agenda surveillance activities. As evening approached, the operation escalated. Agenda operatives, realizing their communications had been intercepted, attempted to deploy a team to the Fuller household under the cover of darkness. Malcolm and Kevin, fully aware of the impending threat, implemented a layered defensive strategy. Household routines continued uninterrupted to maintain cover, while Kevin positioned at key vantage points around the property. Stuart manipulated security feeds to create loops and blind spots, buying Malcolm the time necessary to prepare both diversion and containment measures. The operatives arrived, attempting to breach the perimeter with tools designed for rapid entry. Malcolm, in his Big Momma persona, engaged them directly, using a combination of psychological diversion and strategic positioning to guide them into controlled areas of the property. Kevin's Overwatch neutralized any attempts at surveillance or escape, while Stuart remotely disabled electronic devices that could compromise their position. The confrontation, though controlled, tested every aspect of Malcolm's dual capabilities. His ability to embody Big Momma convincingly, while executing precise tactical maneuvers. During the encounter, Carrie's cheerleading routine provided a fortuitous distraction, allowing Malcolm to redirect operatives into monitored zones without raising suspicion. Molly's sketches, now analyzed in real time by Stuart, revealed patterns in the operatives' movements, enhancing Malcolm's ability to anticipate actions and adjust strategies dynamically. Even Andrew's seemingly chaotic play contributed, as his movements masked subtle adjustments to security equipment and personnel positioning. By nightfall, the threat had been neutralized. The operatives were intercepted and contained without harm to the Fuller family or disruption to the neighborhood. Malcolm reviewed the day's events, cataloging every detail, observation, and extracted piece of intelligence. Stuart integrated this into a growing network map, detailing Agenda Software's operational nodes, personnel hierarchies, and planned movements. Kevin's field reports provided additional layers of verification, ensuring that no critical detail was overlooked. In the quiet hours, Malcolm sat in the Fuller living room, reflecting on the intricate balance of his responsibilities. The operation had demanded careful synchronization of domesticity and espionage, tactical awareness and personal engagement, all while maintaining an impeccable cover. The intelligence gathered not only reinforced the safety of the Fuller family, but also positioned the team to preemptively counter Agenda Software's next moves. As midnight approached, Malcolm implemented final security measures for the household, rehearsed contingencies with Kevin, and ensured Stuart had continuous access to remote surveillance and digital intel streams. The operation was far from complete, but each layer of preparation, observation, and controlled engagement had strengthened their position. Big Momma had become more than a disguise. She was a strategic instrument, a protective shield, and a conduit for intelligence that enabled the mission to move forward with confidence and precision. With the family asleep, Malcolm finally allowed himself a moment to step back and review the map of operations. Each lead, each intercepted message, and each observed anomaly contributed to a comprehensive understanding of Agenda Software's network. The coming days would demand even greater coordination, sharper focus, and unwavering vigilance. And Malcolm, in his dual roles of protector and operative, was ready to meet every challenge with the cunning, agility, and heart that defined both Big Momma and the man behind the disguise. Inside the Fuller household, the children stirred, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. Molly Fuller, ever determined to assert herself, paced nervously in her room, her thoughts filled with conflicting desires to please her parents, while asserting her own independence. Carrie, her younger sister, prepared for cheerleading practice, focused and determined, while toddler Andrew, blissfully unaware, attempted his usual stunt of climbing the furniture, much to the nervous eye of their mother, Leah. Leah Fuller's stern voice echoed through the house, reminding everyone of schedules, responsibilities, and the importance of maintaining order. Despite the calm facade, the tension outside mirrored the uncertainty within the home. Malcolm, with Kevin silently following, approached the garage where they had reason to believe the hacker's intermediary was operating. Using the shadows for concealment, Malcolm's movements were fluid and precise, each step calculated to maintain the cover of Big Momma while preparing for potential confrontation. Kevin, less experienced in the subtleties of undercover impersonation, but skilled in tactical response, maintained a discreet distance, ready to intervene at the slightest sign of danger. The garage door, slightly ajar, revealed dim light inside, shadows dancing across the walls, hinting at the presence of their target. Malcolm's breath slowed, his senses heightened, as he prepared for the delicate task ahead. Inside, the intermediary, a wiry man with an intense gaze and nimble fingers, was hunched over a laptop, his eyes darting between screens filled with code, communication logs, and digital maps. The room was cluttered with wires, monitors, and electronic devices, a labyrinth of technological tools designed to facilitate covert operations. Malcolm, disguised convincingly as Big Momma, stepped silently into the garage, his posture relaxed yet commanding, projecting authority without revealing his true identity. Kevin positioned himself near the entrance, ready to respond with precision if the situation escalated. "Good morning, sir," Malcolm's voice, softened yet firm, greeted the intermediary. The man jumped slightly, startled by the presence of Big Momma in his workspace. Before he could react further, Malcolm's gaze locked onto a small device tucked beneath the table, an encryption key, capable of accessing Fuller's sensitive files and the broader network of agenda. With careful movements, Malcolm retrieved the key, keeping the intermediary distracted with light conversation, probing for details without raising suspicion. Kevin's eyes scanned the periphery, noting escape routes and potential hazards, ensuring that Malcolm's mission could proceed uninterrupted. As Malcolm secured the device, he detected subtle movements outside the garage, shadowy figures advancing cautiously along the perimeter. The operation had been anticipated. Agents working for Castle and Agenda had likely identified anomalies and were attempting to intercept any evidence before it could reach the FBI. Without hesitation, Malcolm and Kevin executed a coordinated maneuver, utilizing improvised cover and tactical positioning to delay and misdirect the intruders. The ensuing skirmish was swift, precise, and calculated, demonstrating a seamless blend of physical skill, strategic thinking, and real-time adaptability. Once the immediate threat was neutralized, Malcolm quickly accessed the intermediary's systems, extracting critical information that mapped Agenda's operational structure, revealed hidden collaborators, and outlined the network's hierarchy. Each file, each digital trace provided insight into the extent of the threat, exposing the complexity of the technological infrastructure supporting illegal activities. The children's welfare, previously a peripheral concern, became central to planning, as the team realized that their adversaries might attempt to leverage family vulnerabilities to disrupt the investigation. Malcolm's mind balanced tactical execution with protective foresight, ensuring that the Fullers remained safe while securing actionable intelligence. Meanwhile, Kevin interfaced with communications to alert Morales and other agents discreetly, coordinating support without revealing the operation to unnecessary personnel. The dual task of managing immediate physical threats while extracting and preserving data required careful synchronization, an intricate dance of timing and attention to detail. Malcolm, maintaining the Big Momma persona convincingly, provided a calm, authoritative presence, masking the intensity of the operation and preventing the intermediary from realizing the depth of the intrusion. Every word, every gesture, was meticulously calibrated to ensure operational success. As the morning progressed, Malcolm's team transitioned to the next phase, securing Tom Fuller and neutralizing Casal's influence. The extracted data revealed locations of clandestine meetings, travel schedules, and contingency plans that Castle had established to maintain leverage over personnel and assets. Malcolm and Kevin, armed with this intelligence, planned a series of coordinated interventions designed to preempt potential threats, protect the Fuller family, and ensure the integrity of the investigation. Each move was executed with precision, emphasizing stealth, timing, and minimal exposure to civilians or unintended targets. At the Fuller residence, Leah Fuller continued to manage household affairs, unaware of the broader operations unfolding just beyond the property lines. Malcolm, blending seamlessly into domestic routines as Big Mama, ensured that household responsibilities were maintained, keeping the children engaged and safe. His presence, while humorous and occasionally chaotic in execution, served a critical operational function, providing cover for surveillance, facilitating rapid response to threats, and preserving the family's routine to prevent suspicion. Molly and Carrie, despite occasional confusion over Big Mama's behavior, cooperated willingly, their trust in the figure providing a stabilizing influence amidst the unfolding tension. By midday, Malcolm had successfully coordinated the interception of Casal's operative team, employing tactical deception and digital countermeasures. The operation was methodical, isolating key individuals, securing digital evidence, and ensuring that any confrontation remained contained and controlled. Kevin's support ensured that physical threats were neutralized without escalating violence unnecessarily, maintaining the balance between operational effectiveness and ethical responsibility. Communication with Morales and other agents allowed for adaptive responses, addressing unforeseen variables while preserving the overarching objectives. In the afternoon, Malcolm and Kevin moved to secure Tom Fuller directly, utilizing intelligence from the intermediary and prior reconnaissance. They identified the most vulnerable approach without exposing the target to unnecessary risk. Coordination with Morales ensured that additional agents were positioned to intervene if needed, creating a layered security perimeter around the mission's focal point. The operation required precise timing. Every step, every movement, was synchronized to prevent the possibility of interference by hostile actors or unintended exposure. Malcolm's analytical mind, honed through years of undercover work, guided the sequence of actions, ensuring success while minimizing risk. During the final encounter with Casal's remaining operatives, Malcolm revealed the extent of his planning. The confrontation was tense, measured, and strategically advantageous. Each adversary encountered was met with precise, calculated responses, subduing threats, neutralizing technological interference, and preserving the safety of civilians and assets. Kevin's tactical acumen complemented Malcolm's experience, enabling a dynamic response to real-time developments. The culmination of the operation resulted in the containment of Castle, the preservation of Fuller's safety, and the secure retrieval of sensitive materials necessary to dismantle Agenda's illicit operations. By evening, the neighborhood returned to a semblance of normalcy. Malcolm, still in his Big Mama disguise, facilitated a final review of operational data, ensuring all evidence was secured and communications documented for subsequent reporting. Kevin coordinated the handoff of materials to Morales and federal authorities, confirming that the network had been effectively disrupted and that no residual threats remained. The Fuller family, largely unaware of the full extent of danger, resumed their daily routines, shielded from the realities that had threatened them only hours prior. Malcolm returned home later that night, removing the Big Mama disguise and embracing his family, Sherry, Trent, and the newborn Doug. The relief was palpable, yet tempered by the understanding that vigilance was an ongoing necessity. Lessons learned, relationships strengthened, and operational objectives achieved. Malcolm reflected on the intricate balance between personal life, professional responsibility, and the unpredictable nature of undercover work. The fulfillment of the mission, the safety of the Fuller family, and the restoration of normalcy represented the culmination of his efforts, blending courage, intellect, and ingenuity. As the moonlight filtered through the windows, the household settled into calm. The children, unaware of the day's events, drifted into sleep, their safety secured by the vigilance and expertise of Malcolm and his team. The operation's success provided not only immediate protection but long-term assurance against further threats, demonstrating the importance of careful planning, precise execution, and unwavering commitment to duty. The final moments of the day emphasized reflection, preparation, and anticipation of challenges yet to come, concluding the narrative arc with a sense of resolution, accomplishment, and continuity in Malcolm Turner's journey as both protector and Big Mama. Inside the Fuller household, the children stirred, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. Molly Fuller, ever determined to assert herself, paced nervously in her room, her thoughts filled with conflicting desires to please her parents while asserting her own independence. Carrie, her younger sister, prepared for cheerleading practice, focused and determined, while toddler Andrew, blissfully unaware, attempted his usual stunt of climbing the furniture, much to the nervous eye of their mother, Leah. Leah Fuller's stern voice echoed through the house, reminding everyone of schedules, responsibilities, and the importance of maintaining order. Despite the calm facade, The tension outside mirrored the uncertainty within the home. Malcolm, with Kevin silently following, approached the garage, where they had reason to believe the hacker's intermediary was operating. Using the shadows for concealment, Malcolm's movements were fluid and precise. Each step calculated to maintain the cover of Big Momma while preparing for potential confrontation. Kevin, less experienced in the subtleties of undercover impersonation, but skilled in tactical response, maintained a discreet distance, ready to intervene at the slightest sign of danger. The garage door, slightly ajar, revealed dim light inside, shadows dancing across the walls, hinting at the presence of their target. Malcolm's breath slowed, his senses heightened, as he prepared for the delicate task ahead. Inside, the intermediary, a wiry man, with an intense gaze and nimble fingers, was hunched over a laptop, his eyes darting between screens filled with code, communication logs, and digital maps. The room was cluttered with wires, monitors, and electronic devices, a labyrinth of technological tools designed to facilitate covert operations. Malcolm, disguised convincingly as Big Momma, stepped silently into the garage, his posture relaxed yet commanding, projecting authority without revealing his true identity. Kevin positioned himself near the entrance, ready to respond with precision if the situation escalated. "Good morning, sir." Malcolm's voice, softened yet firm, greeted the intermediary. The man jumped slightly, startled by the presence of Big Momma in his workspace. Before he could react further, Malcolm's gaze locked onto a small device tucked beneath the table, an encryption key, capable of accessing Fuller's sensitive files and the broader network of agenda. With careful movements, Malcolm retrieved the key, keeping the intermediary distracted with light conversation, probing for details without raising suspicion. Kevin's eyes scanned the periphery, noting escape routes and potential hazards, ensuring that Malcolm's mission could proceed uninterrupted. As Malcolm secured the device, he detected subtle movements outside the garage, shadowy figures advancing cautiously along the perimeter. The operation had been anticipated. Agents working for Casal and Agenda had likely identified anomalies and were attempting to intercept any evidence before it could reach the FBI. Without hesitation, Malcolm and Kevin executed a coordinated maneuver, utilizing improvised cover and tactical positioning to delay and misdirect the intruders. The ensuing skirmish was swift, precise, and calculated, demonstrating a seamless blend of physical skill, strategic thinking, and real-time adaptability. Once the immediate threat was neutralized, Malcolm quickly accessed the intermediary's systems, extracting critical information that mapped Agenda's operational structure, revealed hidden collaborators, and outlined the network's hierarchy. Each file, each digital trace provided insight into the extent of the threat, exposing the complexity of the technological infrastructure supporting illegal activities. The children's welfare, previously a peripheral concern, became central to planning, as the team realized that their adversaries might attempt to leverage family vulnerabilities to disrupt the investigation. Malcolm's mind balanced tactical execution with protective foresight, ensuring that the Fullers remained safe while securing actionable intelligence. Meanwhile, Kevin interfaced with communications to alert Morales and other agents discreetly, coordinating support without revealing the operation to unnecessary personnel. The dual task of managing immediate physical threats, while extracting and preserving data, required careful synchronization, an intricate dance of timing and attention to detail. Malcolm, maintaining the Big Momma persona convincingly, provided a calm, authoritative presence, masking the intensity of the operation and preventing the intermediary from realizing the depth of the intrusion. Every word, every gesture, was meticulously calibrated to ensure operational success. In 2006, audiences were reintroduced to one of comedy's most recognizable undercover characters. Big Momma's House 2 brought back FBI agent Malcolm Turner, once again stepping into the oversized dress and unmistakable personality of Big Momma. Unlike the first film, which centered around a small-town criminal investigation, this sequel shifts the setting to suburban America and introduces a modern threat, cybercrime. The tone becomes more family-focused, blending undercover tension with exaggerated physical comedy. The story begins with Malcolm Turner working as an FBI agent alongside his partner Kevin. During an investigation, the FBI learns that a dangerous computer virus has been stolen. This virus has the potential to compromise sensitive government systems. Suspicion falls on a skilled programmer named Tom Fuller, who may have unknowingly or knowingly been involved in the breach. To investigate without raising suspicion, Malcolm once again adopts his Big Momma disguise. This time, however, he does not enter the home as a visiting relative. Instead, he becomes the Fuller family's nanny. From the moment he steps into the house, Malcolm faces a new kind of challenge. Leah Fuller, the mother of the household, is strict and highly organized. She expects discipline, structure, and responsibility from her children. Malcolm must balance his undercover investigation while adapting to household rules and managing three very different children. The oldest daughter, Molly, is independent and rebellious. She feels misunderstood and resents the rigid environment at home. Carrie, the younger daughter, is energetic and deeply involved in cheerleading. Then there is Andrew, the toddler, who constantly climbs furniture and creates chaos without realizing it. As Big Momma, Malcolm attempts to connect with the children while secretly searching for clues that might confirm Tom Fuller's involvement in the cyber theft. His disguise allows him access to personal spaces within the house, including computers and documents, giving him opportunities to quietly gather information. However, the mission quickly becomes complicated. Tom Fuller appears nervous and guarded, but not necessarily malicious. Malcolm begins to suspect that Fuller may be under pressure from outside forces. Meanwhile, Kevin works externally to trace digital activity connected to the stolen virus. The comedic tension builds as Malcolm struggles to maintain his Big Momma persona. Everyday household tasks become exaggerated obstacles. Cooking disasters, babysitting mishaps, and awkward family interactions create humor, but underneath the comedy lies a serious investigation. One of the key turning points comes when Malcolm discovers hidden communication between Fuller and an outside contact. The messages suggest that a larger organization may be involved. This shifts the focus of the investigation from Fuller alone to a broader network operating behind the scenes. As the story progresses, Malcolm starts developing genuine bonds with the Fuller children. He encourages Molly to express herself creatively. He supports Carrie's cheerleading ambitions. He even finds unexpected patience while handling Andrew's constant energy. These interactions give the film a more emotional layer compared to the original installment. The undercover mission is no longer just about stopping a cyber threat. It becomes about protecting a family caught in a dangerous situation. Eventually, the investigation reveals that Fuller has indeed been manipulated. The real mastermind behind the cyber operation is connected to a corporate-level conspiracy. Fuller's role is more complicated than initially assumed. The final act intensifies as Malcolm and Kevin move to prevent the activation of the stolen virus. Through coordinated efforts, digital tracking, and physical intervention, they manage to intercept the threat before it causes large-scale damage. Without revealing every detail, the climax combines action and comedy in a controlled confrontation that resolves the central conflict. The virus is secured, the responsible parties are exposed, and the Fuller family is ultimately protected. After the operation concludes, Malcolm removes the Big Momma disguise and returns to his own family. This moment highlights the recurring theme of balancing personal life with professional responsibility. His undercover work may be extreme, but at its core, it reflects dedication to protection and service. From a production standpoint, Big Momma's House 2 leaned heavily into physical comedy. Martin Lawrence reportedly spent several hours each day undergoing prosthetic makeup transformation. The Big Momma suit, facial prosthetics, and wardrobe were carefully designed to maintain continuity with the original film while allowing for more expressive comedic moments. The movie was filmed primarily in California, using suburban neighborhoods to create the Fuller household setting. Compared to the first film, this sequel features brighter visuals and a more family-centered environment. Financially, the film performed solidly at the box office. Released in January 2006, it opened strongly in the United States and went on to earn over $140 million worldwide. While critical reviews were mixed, audience turnout demonstrated that the Big Momma character still held strong appeal. The success of this sequel eventually led to a third film in the franchise, released several years later. In conclusion, Big Momma's House 2 blends undercover investigation with exaggerated family comedy. While the stakes involve cybercrime and national security, the heart of the story lies in character relationships and personal growth. Malcolm Turner's return as Big Momma proves that sometimes the most unusual disguise can reveal unexpected truths, not just about criminals, but about family, responsibility, and connection. And that wraps up the full breakdown of Big Momma's House 2.